The long, messed up history of why the sandwich generation never feels like they have enough space. Ladies and gentlemen, right now in this country, there's a generation of people working full-time jobs, raising their own kids, and taking care of their aging parents, all at the same time. They're called the sandwich generation, and here's the number that stopped me cold when I first read it. On average, people in this position spend over $7,000 a year out of their own pocket just caring for an aging parent. Not saving for retirement, not investing, just surviving the squeeze. I mean, think about that. You're sandwiched between two generations that both need you, and somehow you're supposed to build your own financial future in the leftover space. Today, I want to walk you through the actual history of how we got here, because this isn't an accident. This didn't just happen. And by the end of this video, I think you're going to look at your own situation completely differently.
Here's what people think. I'm just bad with money. I just need to budget better. If I could get my act together, this squeeze wouldn't feel so heavy. But the reality is, the sandwich generation isn't a personal failure. It's the predictable result of decisions made decades before most of us were even born. 3 separate historical shifts collided, and we're the generation standing in the wreckage. So let's go back to the chart. I want to walk you through 3 chapters. Chapter 1, how retirement used to work. Chapter 2, what changed. Chapter 3, where that leaves us right now. And more importantly, what we actually do about it. Chapter 1, when family was the retirement plan. Before Social Security existed in 1935, retirement as we know it barely existed. If you got old and couldn't work, your kids took care of you, period. That was the plan. That was the only plan. Multiple generations lived under one roof, pooled resources, and it was just normal. Nobody called it a sandwich because everybody was in the sandwich all the time as a permanent way of life. Then Social Security shows up, and for the first time, aging parents had an income stream that didn't depend entirely on their kids. Pensions followed. Company after company started offering guaranteed retirement income. And for a few decades, roughly the 1950s through the 1980s, something unusual happened. Parents could actually retire without leaning financially on their children. I am frugal because I grew up watching my own grandmother live almost entirely off her pension and Social Security check. She never asked my parents for a dime. That was the system working as designed. But here's the myth people believe. They think that setup, pension, guaranteed retirement, no burden on the kids, is just how retirement works. They think that's the default. The reality is, that was a 30 to 40-year historical anomaly, not the rule. Chapter 2. The pension disappears. Life expectancy explodes. Starting in the 1980s, companies started quietly phasing out pensions and replacing them with 401ks, which sounds fine on paper, except a pension guarantees income for life, and a 401k guarantees absolutely nothing except what you personally managed to save and invest correctly. The responsibility for retirement got handed straight back to individuals at the exact moment wages started stagnating against the cost of living. At the same time, and this is the part almost nobody talks about, life expectancy kept climbing. People are living into their 80s and 90s now at rates that would have been unusual a century ago. That's genuinely a beautiful thing. More years with the people you love. But it also means retirement now has to stretch across 2, sometimes 3 decades instead of 1. A retirement plan that used to need to cover 8 to 10 years now has to cover 20 to 25. So picture 2 households, side by side. Household 1, back in 1975. Dad had a pension, mom sometimes didn't even need to work, and the retirement math was simple because the company handled it. Household 2, today. No pension, a 401k that may or may not have been funded consistently, a parent living 20 plus years past retirement age, and adult children who are now the backup plan, whether they signed up for it or not. That's not a coincidence. That's the direct result of pensions disappearing while life expectancy climbed. The math simply stopped working,
And the sandwich generation is the generation standing exactly where those two trend lines crossed.
Chapter 3. Where that leaves us right now. So here we are, adults in their 30s, 40s, and 50s raising their own kids, trying to build their own retirement, while also, often quietly, often without ever saying it out loud, becoming the safety net for parents who never got the pension their parents had. And I want to be honest with you. I am not going to pretend there's a clever trick that erases this. There isn't. But there is a way to stop this from wrecking your own future, the way it's currently threatening to. Step 1. Protect your own oxygen mask first. This sounds cold, but it isn't. If you sacrifice your entire retirement to cover a parent's expenses today, you just create a second sandwich generation problem for your own kids in 30 years. Pay yourself first, even if it's a small amount, non-negotiably before anything else. Step 2. Build the emergency fund before you build anything else. If you're supporting a parent, your emergency fund isn't optional anymore. It's the entire foundation. I'd push for 6 to 12 months of expenses here, not the usual 3, because you have more people depending on your stability. Step 3. Have the uncomfortable conversation early, not in a crisis. Talk to your parents about their actual financial picture now, while there's still time to plan, instead of finding out everything during an emergency room visit. Step 4. Automate whatever you can. Auto-invest what's left after the emergency fund, even if it's $50 a month into a low-cost index fund. You cannot out-discipline a system that was designed to squeeze you. You have to out-automate it. Step 5. Look for income on the side, not to get rich, but to widen the gap. A little bit of extra income doesn't just add money, it adds breathing room. And breathing room is honestly the whole point here. This is exactly what I mean when I say the big things, housing, transportation, and now for a lot of us, caregiving, have to be handled before you obsess over cutting out your morning coffee.
Here's what I want you to walk away with. If you're in this sandwich right now, exhausted, stretched, wondering why it feels like you're always one step behind, please hear me. This isn't because you're bad with money. This is the result of a system that quietly shifted an entire generation's worth of risk onto your shoulders, and nobody sent you a memo about it. But you're not powerless here. You can be the generation that breaks the cycle, not by fixing the whole system. None of us can do that alone. But by making sure your own kids never have to be the ones standing where you're standing right now. Thank you so much for watching. If this hit home for you, you know what to do. And give this video a watch next. I think it'll change how you see the whole picture. And with that, muchas gracias.